Welcome to the Project, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And this week we watched an episode of the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's it. That's the one.
That's the one.
It was the animated one from 2012, as said.
Yeah, it was.
Very CG. I hadn't seen it before. Had you seen any
No,
of it?
I hadn't seen it before. Can't say I was a huge fan of the animation style.
No, I think the style itself, I quite like the designs of the turtles and most of the kind of most of the characters. Casey Jones looked very weird. It's the human kind of.
Yeah.
It was very of its time, kind of video game graphics, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
it's very like young, like April and Casey are very young compared to some other interpretation, including one we see where it's definitely an older April.
That was quite fun, wasn't it? Yeah. But compared to some episodes we watched which just have projects in the title, some kind of just coming out of nowhere and you don't really know what's going on. I felt like with this, it kind of started at a pretty good place.
Yeah, I think it helps because it's like a kid's cartoon essentially. It's fairly episodic. So as long as you know the general gist of the turtles, you can kind of, and obviously you go in it and you kind of establish kind of how old they are and what is Splinter like in this version and some of the villains. Exactly. But that's kind of cleared up very soon and you're like, that's okay, I can just go.
I feel like compared to like the Sonic the Hedgehog one we did was the final episode of the whole thing.
It was
with
bizarre.
This, it feels like it's getting somewhere, but it's the first of two parts as well.
Yeah.
May cover the next one pretty soon, depending on how we feel about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty fun, I thought. But before we get to any of that, we got time codes in the episode description. So if you want to skip straight ahead, you can do so. But before that, how are you today, Lewis?
Yeah, not bad. I'm a little bit achy because I played football last night for the first time in like 2 months because it's been summer, been busy. I haven't done it.
Yeah,
and me and our friend were like, let's do it. And then
and then you play football after.
Just a little bit achy today because it's difficult, but it was good fun and it's still slightly warm, so it was quite nice.
Well, last time we recorded, we were saying it's going to get colder soon, and there was a period where it was a little bit gloomy in the middle.
It did rain a little bit last night when we were playing, but
it's only we're recording very early for the release of this, so it's not been too long since.
No.
So imagine, well, I was going to say I don't really have anything to report since then, but speaking of reporting,
I do even. Well, before you do that,
I know.
How are you, Sam?
I'm okay. Yeah, no, I've just been busy with work. Really, had to go to like a full staff mini conference thing yesterday, which was
fun,
thrilling as always. It was a yearly thing and. It was a bit better than last year's one, I suppose.
Yeah, I've got my staff retreat next week. Going to the
mine was only a half day one, so it's completely different.
Yeah, we go away for 2 days. So.
I probably almost prefer my one, to be honest. But you don't get to do any Butland stuff, do you?
We get you get a couple of hours free before dinner, and then after dinner it's kind of do what you want.
Yeah.
But the issue is being Butland's in Bognor, there's going to be nowhere open after like 11, so it may not be the same as
some of the other ones. It's probably for the best.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends on
I think it was an intentional choice.
Because everyone was a bit bleary the second day.
Yeah.
Well, we went to see King Gizzard the third day or the second day after your last one, and you were like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, I felt rough that day. But I'm sure I'll be reporting on that next time.
There we go. Speaking of reporting, what's that first segment, Lewis?
Project news.
Yeah, I was going to say it anyway, but thanks for giving me
I thought I'd give you that free win there. So the first one I've got is from Screen Rant.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino's The Movie Critic, release date predictions, story details, and everything we know so far about the project. I had a read through this on the way over. They don't know much.
No.
They know it's called The Movie Critic.
Yeah.
It's being filmed in California, which makes people suggest that maybe it is like Hollywood in the past thing, kind of like
wasn't there
Once Upon a
something
Time.
where they thought there was it was someone that he'd highlighted as like a hero or something like that, maybe doing a fictionalized version of that, because I know with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the first details were the Manson related details and the Sharon Tate and that sort of thing,
exactly.
and that kind of, that is fairly central to it, but it's not like the focus of the film, so it may be that this this real life person is like a background character to another critic, or who knows. But
yeah, and they've suggested that apparently the lead is going to be Paul Walter Hauser.
Okay, name sounds familiar, but I can't.
Is
Paul Walter
this guy?
Hauser. Oh yeah, I like him. He was in
Black Klansman.
He was in Cruella, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
he was one of Jasper and Horace.
He was in I, Tonya as well.
I, Tonya, that's what I'm thinking. He's very good in I, Tonya. He's the bumbling kind of best friend of who's the guy who plays Bucky? Sebastian Stan.
Yeah,
he's very good in that.
Yeah, apparently he's going to be the lead in it, and there's going to be a lot of Tarantino's favourites because it is meant to be his 10th and final film.
Yes, final feature film at least, isn't it? Yeah.
Although apparently we spoke before about he might be going into TV instead.
Yeah.
And also they had a different article and like Tarantino says it's going to be his 10th film, but he can't count because apparently he includes Kill Bill as one film.
Right.
The 2 parts.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't think it includes Death Proof as well because
it was part of a double release. Even though it is a full, it's at least 90 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it is shorter than some.
He's either like not the writer or not the director or something. It wasn't his usual full control.
There's Jackie Brown's the other one that always. I think it is. I think maybe someone else wrote with him or something.
No, people always forget Jackie Brown.
It's got some sort of It does say Death Proof is written and directed by him. So
maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, it might be Jackie Brown, but maybe I'm the one who always gets confused with Jackie Brown and thinks that it wasn't. No, it says written and directed by him. So
fair enough.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, so this article doesn't really say much, but it says weirdly. It says that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wrapped filming in November 2018 and was released in July 2019.
Right. Okay.
So obviously they've got to wait for the strikes to finish. But it says if it begins shooting in fall 2023, it could hit theaters in summer 2024.
Yeah, it's like that's not really
that
much
doesn't
time.
line up with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That said it finished filming in November.
I suppose maybe that's like the earliest it could.
Yeah.
But yeah, most films, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of like special effects, like, after visual effects kind of thing.
But I think with all the strikes, we're probably looking at 2025 more realistically.
Yeah, I think 2024 is going to be a lot of people rewatching old programs and catching up with old films.
Yeah.
And I imagine cinemas will start showing like old, films from previous years.
Yeah.
There'll be lots of like, this won an Oscar last year, let's quickly, or this year, let's put some showings on. Yeah, because cinemas are going to...
Oh, we could do a whole all Tarantino films.
Yeah.
Silver screen. Just do the lot.
Just leading up to it, yeah, because there's nothing else on.
Yeah.
Same with Mission Impossible.
Yeah. God, gonna be a long old summer.
And for Fast and Furious.
Maybe. But yeah, that's the other one I've got is Labels. This is from musically.com. Labels sue Internet Archive website over its Great 78 project.
Okay.
So the popular website Internet Archive is getting sued by Universal Music and Sony Music. So they've got the Great 78 project, which digitizes old 78 RPM records for preservation purposes.
Okay.
As well as collecting physical versions, and they put them online. People can like download them and listen to them. Yeah. It's got artists like Bing Crosby, Chuck Berry, and Duke Ellington. So it's like old stuff.
And obviously the record labels don't like people having it for free.
Yeah, and apparently they were sued because they did a similar thing with films and got sued for that.
So is the idea that it's stuff that isn't available anywhere else?
That's the idea. They said, like, the Washington lawyers want to destroy a digital collection of scratchy 78 RPM records, 70 to 120 years old, built by dedicated preservationists in 2006. Who benefits? So they're kind of taking that angle. And that's kind of their defense. But I saw some of the record labels said like a lot of these records that they're putting on thing are available in like digital music things like Spotify, Apple Music. So
especially
it's like
anything from a big name artist.
Yeah,
like the ones you mentioned.
They face no danger of being lost, forgotten, or destroyed because they are available. So you kind of see both sides. Maybe if you like preserve stuff that is getting lost.
Yeah.
If you're doing like Chuck Berry, then
if you do like really unknowns, then chances are the record labels aren't going to take much notice because it's when there's a clash of profits, really.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. But it's also a weird thing when you've got like people fighting over like a Chuck Berry record when he's been dead for like decades, and it's like, cool, you're fighting over a dead man's art.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, as soon as it's signed off to someone, I mean, there's certain ones that, artists, music artists or otherwise, that they've got it really strict in their contracts from when they died that it's with the family or whatever. Yeah. But not everyone was lucky enough to maybe have a lawyer to draw that up for them.
Yeah. Or died young before they got the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame that like these preservation efforts could be blocked, but if they're not preserving stuff that if they're preserving stuff that's actually freely available, then you can see why. I can see that.
I mean, the other way of doing it is have it as a preservation thing, but not have that freely accessible in a way.
Yeah.
So have it more as like an archive than a freely, do you know what I mean? There's some in between there. Kind of defeats the point of it because they want everyone to be able to listen to it in that format.
Yeah.
I can see the difficulty there.
It's a bit of a weird one, but there have been the lawsuit cites 2,749 sound recording copyrights that labels alleged being infringed by the project.
Damn. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that could be interesting to see where that goes. Apparently it's Louis Armstrong as well, and then some people I haven't heard of.
So it's the specific like rips from the 78. So when they say about the scratchiness and stuff, it should have the same sound rather than the version on Spotify will be a digitally remastered version of it. So yeah, I can see the appeal there.
It's whether or not they define them as being different, I guess.
Yeah, and even so, they still own the copyright for that version of it.
Yeah,
pretty clearly on the back cover, I'm sure, and the front cover.
Yeah, but yeah, that's interesting. But that is project news for the week, which means we can move on to the main topic, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a Half Shell. Turtle power. So yeah, as you said, it's the 2012. Series. This episode specifically is season 2, episode 13, The Manhattan Project, part 1, from 2014. So
yes,
I think there's 5 seasons of this, so it's still fairly early on.
And it's I think this and the second part of it are the only Manhattan Project related things on our list that we didn't include in our Oppenheimer lead up. Because we didn't have enough time to do all of them, and we kind of discussed it, and we were like, maybe we'll do it for the TMNT film,
and forgot,
and now it's here.
Now it's here.
It's slightly the film's still in the cinema.
I feel like it caps off our summer.
Yes, exactly. The summer of Oppenheimer, yes, or Manhattan summer.
In Manhattan
summer in Manhattan,
and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But yeah, I've got quite a lot of details with the behind. As is often the way of animation. Series. So it's directed by this episode specifically Michael Chang and Alan Wan. Michael Chan would be known for doing episodes of Teen Titans and Young Justice, so nice. Comic book but DC stuff primarily.
Nice background.
Alan Wan's done loads of other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff, other series both before and after this, so bit of a turtle head. The writers for this were Brandon Ullman and John Shirley. Brandon Ullman's main other credit is Star Wars Resistance.
Okay, yeah.
So which would have come after this.
Yeah, quite a bit after, I think. Yeah. Resistance is one of the newer
I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
John Shirley's got a wild list of stuff. So he's primarily a sci-fi writer, like an fiction writer.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Writing books, but he also wrote episodes for Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Batman Beyond.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
He was also a co-writer for the film The Crow.
Okay, yeah.
So he's done all sorts. And also, he wrote all the songs between 1998 and 2001 for Blue Oyster Cult.
Right. Okay.
He's done films, books, and TV. Wow. So why not do music as well?
It's like a real, what do you call it? Triple threat. It would be.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if he does the voice acting or the acting.
But
he's probably done a cameo on something. So
probably. But yeah, I was like, that was pretty wild.
Wow, that's cool.
So we've got quite a.
It makes sense for Blue Oyster Cult to have a sci-fi writer write their songs as well. That just fits really well.
Just got to a point though, like, let's just hire this guy and see what we do. I think it's like 2 albums. He just Probably concept albums.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't be able to play. I don't know them well enough to place it on a discography, but yeah,
it's. I mean, their debut album came out in like 71, so it is
like later for them.
Yeah, and they peaked in kind of the mid 70s.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
Don't Fear the Reaper.
So hence them being like, let's just get this guy.
Let's just get this guy.
Or he came to them and was like, I'm a big fan. I've got an idea for a weird,
They're like, or
maybe they liked his books. Maybe someone in there liked it, and they went, let's. Can you change this book into a concept album?
Yeah, why not?
That's quite fun.
But yeah, so the cast first, the Turtles themselves. We've got Jason Biggs as Leonardo, who people would recognize from American Pie.
That's right. Yeah,
was also in Orange Is the New Black.
Yeah, and I remember because I watched the first season like a little bit after it came out, but I remember everyone really hated him. I think his character, kind of like double crosses the lead a little bit. They're married, and he's a bit like unsympathetic, or like dobs her into the lawyers, something like that happens, hence her being in prison or something like that. And I think maybe he breaks up with her straight away. But I remember like the actor got a lot of hate for his portrayal. And it's like, he's an actor. And I think they kind of just slowly wrote him out of the series as it went. It's like,
that's bizarre. But he was also in the music video Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus, which is probably where I first recognized him from, because I probably saw that before I ever saw American Pie.
And weirdly enough, isn't the female lead in that is from American Beauty? Is that right? I think she might be the one who has all the roses on her.
Yeah, I think
American
you're right.
Pie and American Beauty in one.
Yeah. She's not in this, unfortunately.
No. Can't remember
playing Donatello is Rob Paulson, who is a voice actor that's been in literally everything.
Isn't that the Fight Club name as well?
Robert Paulson, yeah. That was my first thought. Not Robert Paulson, who died, played by Meatloaf. No, he's literally been in fucking everything. I didn't write him down. So just you often get this with voice actors in American animated series.
Just literally being everything.
Raphael is voiced by Sean Astin.
Yes,
who is probably the biggest name on here.
I wouldn't say, we'll talk about the names as we go through, but I wouldn't say it's the classic Raph voice for me.
No.
He's normal. I know they're a bit younger. I haven't seen the new one. We could talk about that at the end, how it compares up with the new one. But I normally imagine him a little bit gruffer and a little bit more angry, and his voice a little bit higher.
He's the big strong one. But obviously people know him from Lord of the Rings. He's Samwise Gamgee.
And Stranger Things season 2.
Stranger Things, Goonies for our older listeners. 51st Dates, and he's been in like Big Bang Theory and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He kind of did a tour of American TV for a while. But yeah, Sean Astin. Who doesn't love Sean Astin?
Yeah. I do think it's wild that those main two hobbits, as it were, Frodo and Sam, are both American, because their accents are pretty good for Americans. Like,
they're usually a bit.
Yeah, normally you can kind of see through. I mean, Frodo's maybe comes and goes a bit, but he just comes across as annoying, really, more than anything, isn't he? And that's just the character, isn't it?
Sam. As Michelangelo, we've got Greg Cipes or Cipes. Don't really know. Mostly done voice work again. Has been in everything.
It's weird that they 2 out of 4 of them are full-on voice actors and 2 are like film actors.
Yeah,
it's quite strange.
I guess they wanted a mix.
Yeah.
He was in Fast and Furious, the 4th film that's just called Fast and Furious.
Okay, how's his name spelled?
Cipes.
Let's have a look, see who he is.
I don't think it's a major character.
No idea who this guy is.
He was also in Gilmore
Girls. And who does
Girls.
he play? He was
Michelangelo.
He looks like a real life Michelangelo. He looks like a surfer dude.
Oh yeah, to be fair, when I looked at him, I was like
if they all change into humans, that's what I'd expect.
He looks like Michelangelo, yeah. He was also in Gilmore Girls and The Middle. So he's done a bit of acting work as well as his voice work.
Yeah.
We've got as Splinter is Hoon Lee.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't really have much for him. He's done some voice work. Funnily enough, he is again in the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, the 2017 one.
Okay.
As Shredder.
Right, okay.
So he joined the dark side.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very kind of it's like a peak Splinter in this, I feel like.
Although the characterization, we'll talk about the origin bit as we get to it, but like he's kind of bigger and buffer and a little bit more like handsome Splinter than I'd imagine normally.
That's what I mean, peak visibility.
In that sense, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a fight scene and he's fucking smashing it out.
Yeah, the Splinter in the Mutant Mayhem film, very different.
I mean, even in the classic cartoon, he's a bit more old. You know, you'd imagine him as like a kind of 50, 60, like a Mr. Miyagi kind of thing, and that's the whole point, isn't it?
But this is like him in his prime kind of thing. We've got Mae Whitman as April O'Neil.
Okay,
I thought you might recognise her name. She was in Independence Day as a kid. She was a child actor in Arrested Development for a few bits.
And The Egg.
She's in Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, she's the female Evil X, isn't she?
Yeah. She's also in Skull Island, which we both watched recently, as Annie.
Oh, okay.
One of the main characters. The shipwrecked crazy girl.
Would not have been able to place that. No.
She's in Perks of Being a Wallflower, and she's going to be playing Amy in season 2 of the Zeta Project when we get to that.
Okay. I was like, is there a new one coming out? We just haven't seen it yet.
We just haven't seen it, so it doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
So she will eventually become part of the Project alumni.
Lovely. That's like a bronze position somewhere, I'd imagine. That's how we're doing it.
We've got Kelly who plays Karai / Miwa, as she's referred to in this episode, who's the daughter / villain in this, who was, funnily enough, Miss Teen USA 1985.
Wow.
And ironically, you'd think for somebody that was a former, Miss USA, she's mostly done voice work.
Oh, fair enough.
She was in Scorpion King, but apart from that, lots of voice work.
I've seen a bit of Scorpion King. I can kind of imagine there's a kind of mystical assassin-y type lady.
Yeah.
She's like attractive woman. Imagine that's her probably.
Probably, yeah. As Casey Jones, we've got Josh Peck of Drake and Josh fame.
Okay.
Funnily enough, me and Christina were watching Drake and Josh the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, Josh Peck. Obviously, people more recently know him in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Yeah. He's in How I Met Your Father as well.
How I Met Your Father. Yeah, he's in Red Dawn. Do you remember that? The series?
The series of it. Yeah, because there was a film of it back in the 80s. I think.
Yeah,
and they redid it.
He was also in the Disney Plus's reboot of Turner and Hooch.
Oh, really? Okay.
Turner or Hooch, I don't know.
He's had a lot of various issues in the past, hasn't he? Because I remember seeing a clip where he was talking to Hilary Duff, because they're both in How I Met Your Father, and they were talking about their histories as Disney children. And I think he went through it a lot, whereas she kind of got through a lot of, it's kind of a 50-50 whether you have like an awful time and end up, having personal substance abuse.
And honestly, with him, like he played like the fat kid or as a child on a show that was made by Dan Schneider, who's a wrong un.
Pretty notorious now for all the, especially whichever one Ariana Grande's in. That's had a lot of press recently, hasn't it?
What was she in? I'm sure.
Is it Victorious?
Maybe.
Yeah. I get confused because I haven't actually seen any of them.
Christina's watched some of that recently.
I've seen clips.
Really annoying in that.
Yeah, I've seen. There's a lot of feet stuff in clips. There's a clip where she's like, someone's putting like ketchup all over her feet, and she's like, and it's like it's very kind of sexualized, but in a way that if you're a kid you wouldn't notice it. But I imagine if a parent walked in the room and saw that, they'd be like,
she's putting on a really annoying high pitched voice in that as well. Josh Peck's also in the Mindy Project for a few episodes, so he might be part of the alumni.
Lovely.
And he was in Ice Age as Eddie, who's one of the possums. In the second film and beyond.
Yeah, maybe even the third one. I think it's the second one. I don't think I've watched 3, 4, 5, 6.
I watched them all last year.
I know, I remember. Yeah. No, I haven't.
We've also got as Shredder, Kevin Michael Richardson.
Right, yes. I was trying to place the voice.
Yeah, he's been in loads of cartoon stuff. He was in the Mortal Kombat film in the 90s. But he's done Rugrats, Lilo and Stitch, Powerpuff Girls, Porco Rosso.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that earlier in the week, weren't we?
Yeah. He's in the SpongeBob movie as a seagull.
Okay, yeah.
He's been in Transformers, a voice role, Family Guy. In Family Guy, he plays Cleveland Jr.
Right, so he's probably in the Cleveland show as well. Probably,
Fairly Odd Parents he's in. He also voiced Jabba the Hutt in the Clone Wars.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So, he's done all sorts.
When you were saying about the Shredder voice earlier, I feel like this Shredder voice as Kevin Michael Richardson isn't, I mean, it's a kid's show, but it's not very like menacing. Sometimes Shredder is like genuinely quite scary, even for a kid's kind of thing. And in this, it's kind of like,
a bit tame,
a bit like just he's a guy, even though like the design is pretty cool.
Yeah,
but it's just like hello, like it's like all right, mate.
Yeah. As Tiger Claw, who first appears in this episode and becomes a series regular after this.
Yeah, I noticed he was in the opening animatic kind of thing. At the start. The intro. It's
Eric Buaza, who's done loads of voice of Scooby-Doo. Also plays a seagull in the SpongeBob movie. So maybe they were working together as seagulls on that. It was the Sponge Out of Water film, the second one. So.
Which is quite a while after this then, isn't it? They must have been in the same circles.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just a case of like, they just got a load of prolific voice actors to do like silly cameos kind of thing.
And then finally, as Razar, we've got one of the heroes of the pod, Clancy Brown, making his, I want to say, 4th appearance.
I mean, he's got to be gold class at this point.
He's up there. Probably like the most varied as well, because obviously the Zag is number 1, but he's in a trilogy, a quadrilogy.
I mean, even that, he's probably matching up with
Clancy's
him.
What he's done.
But it's not main characters.
Zeta, and what was
I think it was just one episode of Zeta, but I don't know if we count multiple, appearances.
Zeta, this, and what was the documentary thing?
The Laramie Project.
The Laramie Project.
I was going to say Marlboro Project because it's Laramie cigarettes from Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
And also Jackie Chan. I think he was in that as well, wasn't he?
So that's the 4.
That's 4. There may be another one knocking around. I think maybe
Clancy Brown.
Yeah. I mean, if I search through my notes, Clancy Brown, it would probably be the amount of times it would show up would indicate there. Let's have a quick look while we're on it now. Clancy Brown.
What notes? Was it? It doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know how your notes are organised. But 2, 3, Clancy Brown.
It comes up with Johnny Wickles 4 as well. That's what I'm thinking. So not that's a project film. So that doesn't count. Yeah.
So that is the cast. The Google description. The IMDb actually description for this episode I had to get. Leonardo considers asking Splinter for help while facing Shredder's new assassin. Donnie must put aside his rivalry with Casey in order to uncover a Krang plot.
I don't really agree with any of that, to be honest. No. Maybe that's more both of them together.
This is just part 1.
I suppose they're being vague, aren't they? Yeah. But I would say more like they try and like talk to that girl, and then there's some portals.
And they talk about the earthquakes as well, surely, because that kind of drives the plot.
Say,
mysterious earthquakes across New York,
uncovers, and then that leads to a Krang plot or whatever.
Leads to the Turtles uncovering a Krang plot. Meanwhile, a former foe has closer relations than may be expected. Like, that's a much better description.
Even talk about the tiger turning up, an old figure from Splinter's past comes for revenge or something.
So do you want to guess the IMDb rating for the series and the episode?
Okay, I think they're probably gonna be quite high. I feel like people like this show, and I feel like this is kind of an arc that people probably quite like, I'd imagine.
Okay.
I'm going to start with 7.5 for the show.
Oh, interesting. The show is actually 7.9.
Wow. Okay.
So not bad. 0.4 off.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to stick with my guns and just do another 7.5 and hope this right.
Oh, even though traditionally episodes
but last time that was wrong, so I'm just
okay. Well, I'll tell you, this episode is the highest rated episode across the entire season. It's joined with a couple of others, but the highest rated episode of this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at 9.1.
Fuck's sake, okay.
So a bit further away.
Some of the most off I've ever been.
1.6 off. Yeah.
Oh well.
But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so it starts with this werewolf guy, which I think is the guy played by Clancy Brown, isn't it? He's like a kind of wolfy kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, not really a werewolf. He's like a kind of wolf man with spikes coming out of him.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a weird design, really. And Shredder's daughter, and they're planning like an ambush.
Yeah, and Shredder's away, so they want to do something to like impress him when he gets back.
Okay.
Here's what I've noticed, that I'm not a huge fan of the animation.
Yeah, me too.
So
it's quite fluid. Like the actual animation is quite good, but the designs and like I think the thing that you notice when it's like blown up on a big TV with like HD 4K whatever, it's quite like sparse. The environments feel like a PS2 game but in HD kind of thing.
Yeah, I also thought it was really weird how the turtles had like giant feet. Did you notice?
I did not.
They're like,
all right, Dan Schneider.
They're like from their like knee down just gets wider and wider, and it's like their feet are literally like 3 times as wide as their head. I was just like, it looks like they're stomping around like fucking elephants the whole time. It's like they don't really look like ninjas.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I guess that's kind of what turtles' feet or tortoises, isn't it? They really are, aren't they?
Yeah, but surely their feet should match their hands.
One thing I noticed, they all have different coloured eyes, which is interesting. It's not related to their actual bandana colours.
Oh, really? I was going to say, well, like the bandanas are obviously colour coded.
Well, some of them are, but like basically, Leo and Mikey both have blue eyes, from what I can see, and Raph has green eyes. I guess it contrasts with his red thing, and then Donatello has brown eyes. So, just an interesting. I mean, the designs I quite like. Like they're all unique enough, and like Mikey's got like the little freckles, and he's got a little cute face, and Donatello's like a little bit taller. But and Raph's got like a little crack in his front shell. I can see there.
Yeah,
they've got like little bits that change them, and like I think the tones of their skin are very slightly different and that sort of thing. But
yeah,
not necessarily my favorite designs.
I always thought it was a bit weird, the choice of the colors. Obviously, they each have their distinct colors, so it's easier to tell which one's which.
Yeah.
But like red and blue makes sense. Purple and orange, I get why they haven't gone with green, because you probably wouldn't notice it. Yeah. But like yellow maybe, or like I think white.
There's a couple of different fifth turtles they've had, and there's one which I'm pretty sure there's one which is pink, which was like the forced in like girl one at one point. Yeah. And recently, some of the comic runs, I think it's a yellow girl.
Right,
which makes sense. Yellow works with it as a fifth color, but yeah, purple
and orange.
Yeah, it's interesting. I suppose purple and orange work well together, and then blue and red work well together.
Yeah, but I feel like in certain bits, in wrong lighting, the orange and the red
and the blue and
muddled.
The purple as well.
Yeah, but you can't change something that's been like that for like 45 years or something.
No.
But yeah. Anyway, the Foot Clan attack the turtles when they're going out like chilling, and the turtles fight them. And there's this woman who seems to be the leader, who's Shredder's daughter.
Yes,
who's called Miwa.
I know. I think they find out she's got a different name, but then but Leo knows that she's called Miwa, so he tries to call her
Karai.
Karai, yeah. They have like a little fight, and I think I feel like the Foot Ninjas are robots in this, because I don't know why, but they were like whirring around a little bit. I guess it means they can chop them up. We were saying about that before with something else.
But Leo's trying to tell Karai, it's like, oh, I know who your real father is. Shredder's not your real father.
Yeah.
And then there's a big earthquake, and I think Leo like saves Karai from.
Yeah, there's like some sort of chimney type thing is falling down.
Leo,
he pushes her out of the way, and then he gets squished, and then we get the little intro.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I'm mixed feelings because it starts off, it's kind of like a slightly more epic version of the classic,
Teenage Mutant Ninja
and then it goes into
Turtles.
like a very kind of, well, probably even early 2000s rap, which kind of goes it kind of does the same thing of like Donatello's good with machines, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but it does a little bit more about each of them. I quite like that. It makes sense.
But
it loses when it goes back to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like riff kind of, the chorus bit. It kind of loses the emphasis of the original a little bit.
Yeah,
feels a bit weak, I think.
So I felt like so I like the fact that they did a bit of summary of each character because I've in the past have often got them mixed up with which ones. I know.
Come on.
I know.
You're definitely not a turtle then, are you?
But yeah, I felt like the whole like rap was kind of forced in because hey, it's 2012 and what do the kids like these days?
Apparently rap. I feel like that's even like from 90s onwards, just rapping everything is always cool.
It makes, like you said, the actual recognisable bit kind of contrast a bit.
Yeah,
to
I
the
feel
rest
like
of
it's
the song.
slightly slower as well. And the originals, it kind of really relies on that kind of central kind of chorusy bit coming back. And when it comes back in this, it's like a bit weak and like, I like they kept that main heroes in a half shell situation going on.
I've always thought it was weird that it's heroes in a half shell because
it's a full shell.
It's a full shell, right?
I'm not sure where that comes from. I always think of it as like a half pipe, like a skating thing, but I don't think it's to do with that at all.
They seem like they could be skated guys, but they don't often skate.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's one where they do skate a bit, or maybe Michelangelo skates. That might be the original cartoon. I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, we could come back and the other turtles are pulling Leo out from under this wall that fell on him.
Yeah.
And he's all sad because Karai has escaped and he really wanted to tell her about her real dad.
Yeah, they lost the bad guys. And then we get to a news reporter talking about the earthquakes and he's like, it's really bad. It messed up this reporter's hair. And then it's like zooms out and his hair's all like crazy. He's like, don't worry, the stylist is seeing to me.
Yeah.
Mikey's like, dude, his poor hair. Like, that made me laugh.
Yeah. Leo finds out there's like a pattern to the earthquakes and not just random. It maps them out and they're like in a circle thing, moving towards a central point.
Yeah, which doesn't really make sense.
Or moving away from it looks like they're moving towards.
I think it's kind of radiating inwards, but when we find out what's happening later, I don't really know how that matches up with unless they were transporting the things inwards along paths, but that doesn't really make sense.
But there's some tech causing it. I swear as well, this bit, I can't remember.
They say it's caused by tech. It wasn't caused by tech.
No.
It was a big thing.
Michelangelo's really fucking dumb in this episode, I feel.
Because Donnie's like, oh, it's caused by tech. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? And then Mikey, this is like in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, which I kind of didn't really like, but I think people quite liked it as it went on. It does like the kind of fourth wall / kind of meta stuff where like a cartoon bubble will appear and then the characters like interact with it in the thing. And he's thinking about a kissing and then Raph's like, no, and like burst the bubble kind of thing. And it's,
and I was
it happens a few times in a row.
I know often Michelangelo's like almost the younger, more naive one.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I feel like in this, they've made him like extra dumb, he's a fucking idiot.
He's
I was like, I feel like he's not usually this dumb.
I guess I feel like it was pretty on brand, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I mean, that bit was a bit annoying. It was kind of funny, but it was very. I imagine kids would have loved that because it's like it's like a kitten in like a different animation style, and then they like for some reason he asks him to think about something else, and then it happens again. It's two kittens, and it's just
But we've Leo goes and talks to Splinter, and we find out that he's the father.
It really confused me at first before we get the flashback because I was like, this giant rat is the dad of this girl. But straight away we do get this is when we see that he's like 6 foot, 7 foot tall, and he's fucking like stacked. If it literally is like handsome Splinter, right?
Like if they made a live action version of this Teenage Mutant Turtles, it'd be like The Rock or someone that would play Splinter. Like
just like
you're not getting Jackie Chan for this Splinter.
No. Yeah, we get a little like animated flashback, which unfortunately uses very nice animation and kind of makes you kind of miss it when it goes on. And it shows, it kind of is one of those, and with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I get confused sometimes because when they talk about like the warring clans and stuff, quite often it looks like it's back in like feudal Japan, but I think it's just behind the scenes of the regular world, there's just this kind of ancient war going on.
Yeah.
And in this, they're all wearing like the traditional outfits, so it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. But basically, his baby got stolen by by Shredder when he was like, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever. How old the kid is now.
Yeah. But he's like, sure, there's still some good in her, even though she's like
being brainwashed for
the
like
right hand woman of Shredder.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the villains and they're chatting, they're talking about Shredder and being like, oh, we need to do something good for Shredder.
Yeah, they say like he's getting a new guy in that's supposed to be like the best mutant or whatever.
Yeah, and then Shredder arrives and he's like, I've brought in the best assassin in Japan.
Yeah.
And the doors open and you see this big cat man walk in. The other week, funnily enough, we were talking about sexy tigers. Do you remember?
Nope.
May not have been on pod. I think.
Oh, we were talking what, Kung Fu Panda? Is that it reminded me of Kung Fu Panda a little bit?
Yeah, because I think we were talking with Amy about it, and we realised that the sexy tiger in Kung Fu Panda isn't a tiger.
It's a snow leopard. Yeah. Well, at first I thought this was a white tiger, and I started writing down like, oh, it's like Kung Fu Panda, and then I was like, oh no, it's just.
I wrote down it's a cat man. But yeah, this breaks into the ranks of sexy tigers, I feel.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, I feel like Splinter is sexier in a way, but you know.
I think it's because he's a rat. It's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, but he doesn't look that rattish compared to Sam, which is, I think, what elevated him there in my
but yeah, this tiger man is introduced as Tiger Claw.
Yeah, bad name for a character that's a tiger, I'd say. But very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because there's like Superfly and Dingo Doll or whatever. I don't know, you know, they've all got stupid names.
And Tiger Claw is immediately disappointed with the Foot Clan. He's like, I was expecting something really cool.
I like that he has like 2 lasery guns. That's quite interesting. Yeah, it's different.
I like as well, like in this world, it's easy to have everyone like hand to hand fighting with different weapons, and he's just like, no, I got a gun because guns are more efficient.
I like that someone's like, do you want a drink? And then he's like, I'll have milk. And it's like a little, and then at the end he's like,
he's also had his tail cut off
by his like biggest rival or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to find them and get it back. And at this point, we don't know who it is, but.
And Karai is like mocking him.
Oh yeah, it turns out now he's second in command.
Yeah, and that soon puts Karai in her place.
Yeah.
But then Shredder tasked Tiger Claw and Karai to go out and capture Splinter and the Turtles.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and we get like a little bit in the middle where April and Casey Jones are introduced to this episode, and he's like kind of fawning after her a little bit, wants to go on a date.
And she's like, "This is what we're doing," because they going out like
patrolling or whatever.
Doing vigilante stuff.
Yeah.
And then they see like robots marching into this portal. It's like a triangle of like purple.
And they know it's the Krang, which like, so sometimes Krang is one guy, like one brain in the big buff guy in the original thing. And then sometimes the Krang are the race. And I think that's the case in this because there's lots of these. Yeah. They might be a hive mind or whatever. Yeah, it's not really that clear.
But Casey jumps down and hits one of them. Yeah. And it's the weird brain thing that like the Krang
pink brain. Yeah.
In the robotic suit.
Yeah.
A bit like a Dalek.
Very Dalek, actually. Yeah. And they were, like you said, they were trying to get in, they were all marching into this pink portal that was opened up, and then they knock off the portal device and it shuts.
And they're like, we need to take this to somebody who knows about. And April's like, we'll take it to Donatello because he's the tech guy of the Turtles. So he'll know it.
Donatello does machines.
Like, if we want someone to punch this portal, we'll take it to Raph. But
funny you should say that, because as soon as they show it, Raph just jumps straight into it and is like, we're gonna go punch someone, basically.
But they show the portal to the Turtles. Turtles, and Donnie wants to like test it to understand it. And like you say, as soon as they turn it on, Raph runs in, and then everyone's like, well, we have to go after them.
And the Quakes come in quite handy for the plot here, because as soon as they're all in, the Quake knocks the portal device off the wall and they're trapped in the new place, which funnily enough is a little bit like what we'll be talking about in Ahsoka later.
The world between worlds.
It is the world between worlds of this, isn't it? Yeah.
It's more like, so it's a big void with just these purple triangles like in a corridor.
Yeah,
essentially.
I don't really remember what they're on. They must be on some sort of platform in the middle, like a bridge.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't really remember, but there's not devices on this side of it. The devices have opened up to this kind of world between worlds situation.
And they describe it as the Grand Central Station of dimensional travel.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But then as they're through, they see their door close and they're like, oh fuck, we're trapped. So they start looking into the other worlds. And this bit was quite fun.
Yeah, the first like one is just like I don't know what it is. It's nothing that important. But then pretty soon they put their head through one, and it's the 80s animation version of themselves.
You see the four turtles and April like walking past. You're like, oh, that's fun. I enjoy that. Yeah. They look in, and it's Dimension X, which is home of the Krangs. They're like, oh, let's not go in there. Yeah. But then the Krang like spot them looking in.
And there's like some that are in kind of like gorilla mech suit things, and then some that are like flying around in little things.
Yeah, and there's some like slimmer robot, like android ones.
Yeah, almost like kind of Terminators under the Terminator skeleton things. Yeah,
and then they come through the portal and they all start fighting, and they're fighting the Krang.
Some of this is quite fun. Like the gorillas have like weird different devices. Like later on, they have like butt cannons, and then one of the first things they shoot is like nipple blades that have like they're on like chains. It's quite a weird thing.
Yeah, the Krang are weird.
But like the fights are all pretty good in this, and then three of them fall through.
Yeah, Donnie like saves April at one point, and Casey Jones is a bit jealous.
Yeah, there's like a very, very slight, because it mentions the rivalry they have to get over or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not really ever addressed, but it's clear that Donatello is in love with April. Because when he sees the older version of her through the portal, he's like, ooh, nice jumpsuit.
A wooga. But yeah, because he saved April and Casey like wants to get attention, those three kind of split off from the other three turtles.
That's what happens. Okay.
And then Raphael, Leonardo and Michelangelo get pushed into the portal by the Krang.
Yeah, something to do with the butt cannons, I think. There.
And then like the portal closes.
Yeah, I think some of the flying Krang have little remotes and they turn it off. And then it turns out that the Tiger Claw guy is on the other side of this portal. Yeah,
so Raph, Mikey and Leo are kind of stuck there, and as you say, they get surrounded by Tiger Claw and Karai.
Yes.
And Tiger Claw immediately pulls out the gun and is like, where's Splinter? And it's okay, he's got a gun.
Let's get to the point.
And a fight ensues.
Yeah, and I think he's got two laser guns. He's got like a lasery one and an ice one, and that's quite cool because it's doing a little elemental kind of thing. He's got a jetpack as well. He basically, we kind of come back to the fight as we go through, but he's pretty on top of the three there. He's kind of...
Yeah, we cut back to Donnie, Casey and April, and they're still fighting the Krang. They kind of get rid of the last one. So
they just kind of push one through a doorway and they're like, cool.
But then like more Krang appear, but they're more like the androidy ones.
Yeah, there's a bit where they're like doing something to a slug through one of the things, and I think that might be similar to the slug things you see later on.
And they're trying to figure out, but then they get surrounded and they're like...
the robot, I don't remember what they say in this bit, but the robots are quite funny. They're kind of doing like a battle droid thing where they're like stating the obvious and really dumb. I've written down something later on, but I can't remember what they say up front. But they're kind of funny. Like I can see them having funny jokes throughout if they're in it.
Meanwhile, Tiger Claw is like overpowered the other three because he's really good, and he's like, cool, Splinter, or I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, he's got Mikey, and he's gonna drop him into like a furnace or something. He says so there's like a hole with fire on a rooftop or something.
So they're like, call Splinter. They call Splinter on the cheese phone,
which is like an emergency phone or something.
And they're like, he's on his way.
Oh yeah, when he just turns up dramatically, it's like a big full moon on the rooftop, and then Splinter's just there.
It's very like Batman.
And then it does a little thing with Japanese subs where like the screen gets smaller and we have like a big black space for subs underneath, and they both speak to each other in Japanese.
Yeah.
And it's something about the proverb is this, and then he's like, shut up or whatever. I can't remember.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the Raph, Mikey, and Leo are tied up on the edge of like a building. So a precarious position. But then Tiger Claw shoots at Splinter. Splinter dodges, and they start their ninja fighting.
Yes, yeah. And then we go back to the lads in the portal bit, and they've been taken through back to New York from the World Between Worlds. And as they're being transported by these Terminator guys, they make a move, they shoot like a steam pipe or whatever, and escape in the thing. Yeah. And they find what's causing the big noise, and it's these big kind of wormy slug.
Big space worm thing that's like, it's kind of like the Slurm Queen.
Yeah. There's various sized ones. Most of them are kind of like elephant sized or whatever. They're big old things. And they like, this must be causing the quakes, which doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, because it's not tech. But they're so like, they're milking them for mutagen.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's quite a fun little lore thing.
I guess it kind of explains, probably up to this point. I think earlier on when they were talking about the Krang, the bad guys were like, the Krang create the mutants or something. So I guess they've been like pumping out new mutants every now and then.
I do like how like they always kind of think of new ways to start. Because obviously the original story was the radioactive car crash from Daredevil.
The Daredevil one,
I think in the Mutant Mayhem, it's like a scientific experiment of creating something to create like a hybrid species thing.
Which makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, and then in this, it's like, it's a space worm being milked. I was like, yeah, cool.
I mean, they're all fun. I almost watched the first episode, but I didn't really want it to like taint this kind of thing.
Yeah,
because I would wonder if it might even be like the end of season 1. They have like a flashback episode or something. It wouldn't know.
But there's this baby worm who's like rubbing on April's leg.
And she thinks it's Casey, and she's like, Casey, stop it. And and she's like, no, stop it.
He puts his hands up. He's like, it's not me. And it's this little
she
baby
was just rubbing,
like really like slimy, like sluggy
but it had
worm.
like a cute little face, and then it starts screaming, and its face like opens up. It's quite creepy.
And it alerts the Krang, and then they like release the big worm.
Yeah, this is at the bit that I wrote down where they're like, Krang, we have been discovered in the place that was not supposed to be discovered.
That
it's
made
that
me
kind
laugh.
of like state of the obvious kind of thing.
Just very like robotic.
We go back to the Tiger versus Rat fight, and they're doing all kinds of crazy moves that are like way better than what we've seen anyone do so far.
It's like insane. These are the two, like, these are the elite. Like,
Splinter does a couple of cool like paralyzing moves. Like he ends with a whole series, but at one point he does like the arm pressure points thing, and like the guy, like, because they're doing sword against sword at this point, or something like that. But yeah, it's all just very kind of fast and dodging.
I think it's like the fact that we've just seen Tiger Claw essentially overpower 3 of the turtles. The fact that these two are going toe to toe, it's like, oh, Splinter's really good.
Which is, it's good. Yeah, I suppose it's a different interpretation of the whole thing. Like by the end, hopefully they'd be just as good as Splinter by season 5.
This is also quite good. There's points where like Tiger Claw's got the upper hand and is seemingly about to win, and then Splinter fights it back and has got the upper hand, and Splinter's about to win, and that's kind of the point we get to where he's kind of got him on the cliff. And he's like, and Tiger Claw's like, shit.
He's done like a whole series of like pressure points on his chest, and he's kind of like paralyzed for a second. And he's got him about to push him off, and then stupid girl shoots a dart in his neck.
Karai, and Splinter faints. And then Leo at this point goes like, Karai, don't do it. He's your father. And like, she doesn't believe them, and
she kind of gets annoyed, and she's like, I'll silence you for good,
and like holds up a sword, and then it goes, to be continued. Right, so what I'm a little bit confused about here before we talk about the episode as a whole. So Splinter is Karai's father. How?
Well, we said this, but in the flashback he was a human. That's what. So the mutant, I think in this,
mutagen turns humans.
I guess you could do it both ways, because I think the turtles are turtles. But this is the thing that's different. Whereas sometimes Splinter was a rat who was made into like a mutant rat,
and
then somehow got involved in the clan versus clan fighting as a rat person. Whereas sometimes he was like a samurai guy who then turns into a rat. Which makes more sense with the whole crazy background. If you're trying to bring in that big lore of the the Foot Clan versus whatever their clan's called, which I think is the way it is in this. So he was a human. And then maybe in that fight with Shredder, also Shredder and Splinter have two similar names. Like I always
right, 100%. I always misspeak. That's what. In the Mutant Mayhem, it's a rat, just a standard rat. Comes across 4 baby turtles rolling around in goo, pretty helpless, and as a rat decides to help them. In the process, gets some ooze. On him as well, and then is like, oh, if I'm going to protect these turtles, I need to learn how to be a ninja to train them. So he's becomes a ninja because of the turtles rather than...
Is it like... does like a ninja book fall in the sewers, or does he like watch it on TV?
I think he watches
them on TV. Oh, I think I've heard there's like martial arts films in it or something, isn't there?
Something like that. Yeah, like Bruce Lee, I think. He watched a lot of Bruce
Classic
Lee films.
Ninja, Bruce Lee, Kung Fu Ninja.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the kiddie friendly ones are that way around because it makes more sense. Because why would he? Unless I guess he was intentionally turned into a rat person by evil people. Because although actually Bebop and Rocksteady, the two, the boar and the rhino, they were humans who were turned into half animals. That's almost always the case.
I don't think that's the case in Mutant Mayhem. I think Mutant Mayhem, all of them are animals who are mutated.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know in the live action one, I'm pretty sure the Michael Bay one, I'm pretty sure it's that way around. Yeah, they're normal guys and they get like a boost. Like halfway through.
I guess the only thing that's consistent is kind of the end result, like how they got there.
It doesn't really matter either way.
So I got a couple of bits of trivia.
Okay, cool.
Both for this episode, funnily enough.
Lovely.
First one is when Casey looks through one of the doors, they see a version of them in a different reality. This reality is from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 cartoon, which you mentioned. The score of the episode as well changed momentarily to mimic that of the older show.
Oh, nice.
So that was really like, hey, classic turtle heads.
Yeah.
For you.
It's another reason why, like, normally we watch an episode that isn't the best one to watch. I feel like in a way we're quite lucky to see that little reference. I don't imagine there's stuff like that not specifically. No,
I think they purposely put them up in like a weird dimension portal thing so they could see that. But I was like, that was quite fun.
That's cool.
And then the cheese phone, which Splinter, the emergency phone, is a homage to the bat phone from Batman 66.
I thought the rat and the cheese, that makes sense.
Where there was a special phone used exclusively to contact Batman and Robin for emergencies. The pose Splinter makes after using the phone is a homage to Adam West's heroic Batman poses.
Right.
So it is literally like...
Also when he's up on the... Okay.
So like the phone and then that pose is like Adam West.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed this. I thought it was like... more targeted at kids than I would.
Okay.
If I was to pick like my perfect Turtles thing, I think this is more kiddie than that. I know obviously it's a kid show, it's targeted at kids, but from my perspective, I think it's like some of the jokes and some of the characterizations where I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Apart from that, I thought it was good fun. The Turtles are fun. There's a lack of pizza, but...
Yeah, true, yeah.
But,
they didn't really have time though, did they?
No.
But, you could have had Mikey maybe he was having a pizza in the background when they were at the lair.
I feel like it was quite a big plot point episode with Karai and Tiger Claw and... Splinter fighting.
Because it's mid-season, isn't it? Pretty much. Yeah, I thought it was good. I kind of agree with you with the kid thing. I was quite surprised. I thought it wasn't as kiddie as I was expecting based on the designs.
Really? That may be influencing my view as well.
Yeah. I feel like, and there's the little kitten joke thing, but I thought that was more of a kind of like Michelangelo joke than a thing affecting the whole thing. Really, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought like. the animation was pretty good, a little bit dated, but like it kind of stood up mostly. I really didn't like the Casey Jones design. Like his human face was the thing that was the most.
Yeah.
And the spiky werewolf thing looked really awful as well.
Yeah.
Like it looked almost, some of the animation looked like it could have been from 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
Like
Casey Jones almost looks a bit like Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, that kind of Jimmy Neutron. It's almost like the textures are slightly better. The character designs are more details, but like I was going to say, there's a Spider-Man show from, I think it's like 2003 or something. It's Neil Patrick Harris does the voice. They only did one season, and it's very, very CG, like the whole thing. And it's okay. Like it, I think I had it on DVD because, you know, Spider-Man, but it's not good in any way. And I mean, the action was good. That was the thing that surprised me the most. I thought it was very fluid. It was very kind of interesting.
The Splinter Tiger Claw fight was really entertaining. It was like, oh, this is fun. Like both being really good. I think one thing as well is that for like a mid-season 20-minute episode, it'd be easy to kind of lose some of the turtles in the background because it's 4 of them. But I'd say like Donnie gets to do some tech stuff. Michelangelo gets to be like, oh, I'm the young idiot one. Yeah. Raphael kind of gets like the
brash kind of jumping kind of thing, and Leo's trying to do the right thing and
I'd say there's not as much of like Leo's like leadership stuff in this, but you do get a big part of like the love for April kind of side of things.
Yeah.
So all the turtles do get a part in this.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we said like it does a really good job of explaining where things are at. It drops you straight in, but it's 22 minutes, like what you're supposed to do. But you know, I don't feel like some shows are, I mean, it's a Saturday morning cartoon thing, isn't it? It's supposed to be, you watch one,
but
I mean, the next one will
feel
be
like you're playing catching up for half the episode.
And I didn't feel that in this at all. I don't know. I'm tempted to rate it pretty highly, to be honest. Like,
yeah, fair enough. I think I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah,
because I mean, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of ways it could have been better. I think I did prefer the Mutant Mayhem film.
I'm sure, to
this, which is kind of what I have to compare it to. Really, is the most recent Turtle thing I watched.
Yeah, I think for me, because I haven't really seen any Turtley stuff recently, I haven't really got a benchmark. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go for an 8, just because.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me want to watch the new one even more. I don't think I'll get a chance to see it in the cinema, but I'm sure I can find a way to watch it.
It'll probably be on some sort of streaming soon.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I liked it, and we'll probably cover the second part pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe very, very soon.
Maybe very soon. Yeah. Maybe right now. So episode
part
2.
I haven't watched it yet, Lewis. I'm sorry. We have to delay it to next week, everyone. Sorry.
Fine. But yeah, so that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2012 animated series, which means now it is time for Personal Projects.
Now it's personal.
Projects.
So, Sam, what have you been watching or playing?
I got you. I've been reading.
Oh, you told me what you'd been doing, and it was one of those two things.
Yeah, but I said I was going to do the playing next time. Come on, man. Yeah. Come on. So I finally finished reading a book that I started about 3 years ago. About 2 years ago, maybe. About 3 years ago, I bought the Annihilation trilogy. So
the one that was made into
a film. I think it's actually called the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, I think it is, sci-fi writer. And I read Annihilation pretty quickly. It was quite a short book, and it's pretty similar, mostly in beats to the film. Different in ways as books are.
Am I right in thinking the bear's not in the book?
Bear's not in the book. It's more kind of abstract, kind of like plant life situation, but there's like
Tessa Thompson.
Kind of, yeah. They don't really. I know what you mean. Yeah, kind of like that, but not everyone turning into plants necessarily. I can't remember too much, but there's more stuff with like there's like hypnotic suggestion and stuff to keep them under control. Like the leader of it has like control over them, and it gets weird where, as well as the lighthouse, which features a lot in the film. There's also like a anti-lighthouse, which is like steps.
A hole?
Yeah, it's like steps going down into the ground that seems to have appeared out of nowhere. And a lot of the mystery is around that. And the further you go down, the more kind of otherworldly it gets. And a lot of it is exploring that and her going in the night and checking it out. And there's weird like writing in English on the walls that kind of glows. And it's made of like moss that glows. It's very weird, but a very, very good book. And then I started Authority, which is the second one. And it changes up the perspective, and it is set afterwards, but it's a new guy who's been sent to take over the facility that runs the missions, basically. And it's a lot slower burning, so I kind of gave up partway through.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not quite as exciting, but I really wanted to finish it because I like the world and all that, and I've got back into it and read the second half of it over the last week or so. And it starts off as this kind of bureaucratic agency style investigation. It slowly builds up. It's about twice the length, so it's a bigger book than the other one. And it just kind of, you find out about all the different expeditions they've done, and you're told that it's like the 12th expedition in the first book, but it turns out they had like 5 number 11 and 5 number 12, and they were changing the different control factors and stuff like that.
Right.
So they were using them as experiments and that sort of thing. And in the film, I don't know if you remember, but it kind of is bookended with Natalie Portman's character like being interviewed as a survivor, and it's whether it's the real one of her that came back and all that. And that's kind of parts from the second book, because the main character in that is interviewing the biologist that's come back, and it's whether it's really her and all that kind of thing. And it's very good, and it ends in quite an interesting way. And I bought the 3, as I said, so I've started the third one. And I'm interested to see where it goes, but it really like nails the kind of Lovecraftian kind of obsession, madness thing of kind of slowly building, and this kind of otherworldly thing that's like, because it's right on the doorstep of where the facility is, and it's this fear of this unknown, and they don't know anything about it, and it's been there for like 30 years, and they still really don't know anything about it. And it's whether like any of the main people in the facility have been like turned, and if they're like sleeper agents, and it's the kind of paranoia and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's cool. It's very very different to the first one, but I'm really interested to see where the third one goes. So I've got straight onto it, and I've started reading that as well.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking it would make a really good, maybe a series overall to do the full trilogy. Because this one, it would slow down the pace quite a lot. Maybe this would have to be cut with the first book in some way together.
Yeah.
But it without spoiling too much, he does eventually leave. I mean, he leaves to go home to his house and all that in between, and think about it and go mad over the weekend and stuff. But he does eventually leave because of stuff that happens, and then it's this trek across the country to try and find someone, and it kind of becomes this whole other book in the last few chapters. And it has a very kind of cinematic ending that I could really imagine on screen. So hopefully someone takes another shot at it at some point, but I don't imagine it'll be anytime soon, really.
Yeah,
because it was a good one, the first one, but
it's a really good film.
I don't think there was any interest in him doing the second one.
Yeah.
Was it Alex Garland did it, I think?
Yeah, it sounds like his kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he did take his own. Yeah, it was Annihilation. Yeah.
I remember I watched that film for I think like the third time like last year.
Okay,
I've always like really liked it. I think I watched it late at night, and for some reason the third one, that last like lighthouse scene really fucking creeped me out.
I've only seen it the one time when it first came out. I think now that I've read these 2 books, I might go back and watch it.
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, it was cool. But then the whole like the mimicking, and then when she's like pinned against the wall, it just really fucking creeped me out. And it like, you know, when you watch like a horror film late at night, it makes you kind of not want to go to bed. And it was a bit like that. And I was like, I don't remember feeling like this on this film before.
No, I remember it being very weird. And I'm interested to see, I imagine that Alex Garland read all 3 or had someone who read it tell him. So I'm interested to see how much of that kind of, because it's, from what I remember in the film, it's something crashed through the lighthouse.
I think so, yeah.
And like almost a meteorite has caused like this whole situation. I don't know really if that's the same way. But the third one, the bit I've started reading, it goes between some of the perspectives from the second book and also flashing back to the lighthouse keeper pre being Area X. So I imagine that's going to fill in how it started as well as the present. So maybe it will be literally something crashed in and caused it. But I feel like it's a bit more, it's very kind of abstract and vague the way it talks about stuff. So it might not be for everyone. But yeah, I really enjoyed it anyway.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
What have you been doing?
So we only recorded a few days ago, so not much. And like, in like the 2 days I've had between this, I did a pub quiz and went and played football. So I really haven't.
Oh, yeah. How was the quiz?
So some members on our team found it great. For a geek quiz, it was really my weak point because they went and decided to do a whole quiz on video games. And I was like, yeah, not great. I think I knew like 5 answers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and we really weren't feeling confident. We came second.
Okay.
So surprisingly, I guess there were some people who, like me, knew fuck all. Fortunately, there was a couple of people on our team that are kind of video game aficionados, so it was quite good. But I think the ones I got were, the first round was picture round. It was name that Pokemon.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew crap at that.
I knew Butterfree and Ninetales and the rest for the later generation. So
yeah, that's I can barely. I think a couple of weeks ago, when I was at yours, we were looking at some Pokemon. I don't know if you were even there, but maybe you were there somewhere.
Yeah.
Just snuck into your house to look at Pokemon, and like it's the first generation I can just about do, and it's I can't do beyond that. Really,
I could probably name most of like 151. Off the top of my head, but 152 up, I literally couldn't name one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have been watching Bojack Horseman.
Oh yeah,
I finished season 1 a couple of days ago. It's just really, really good.
Yeah.
I wanted something else that to just watch. I was watching The Office, but I've paused that briefly for reasons. So I was like, I'll start watching Bojack again because Bojack is really
very good, isn't it? And did you finish it at the time? Do you remember?
Yeah, I've watched through it.
Okay, yeah.
3 times, I think.
Wow, okay.
So
no, I've only watched it the one time. I remember there are certain bits that are like, damn, this is heavy.
It is, yeah.
Like both in like the like his kind of intense depression and also like just the questionable actions that he does as well. And it's like,
one of those where it's just like, this guy is awful.
I remember the bit that when he goes to his old girlfriend's place and then there's the daughter and that, and it's just like, oh man.
And there's the Sarah Lynn stuff as well.
Yeah. Because that's quite a lot of the last season is the regrets over all that, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, remember the last season, there's maybe it's just the last episode or so, but there's lots of dream sequence, like almost going into the past kind of situations, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this first season had a bit where Diane's at like a ghostwriter panel and there's nobody there because who wants to see a ghostwriter panel?
Right.
But Bojack turns up and he's like, because she's just finished writing his book and it's like scathing.
Right.
And he just goes up and was like, am I a good person? Like, tell me I'm a good person. She's just like silent because it's like, fuck, he's not a good person.
No, their relationship's it's great, but it's very bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got a weird, like, a lot of the time I kind of thought they were going to get together in some way, but it's never really that kind of. I think from his side,
there's
kind
a
of
bit
is
in
a bit,
season 1 where like he kisses her and it kind of breaks them apart for a bit.
Yeah,
and then she obviously gets engaged to Mr. Peanut Butter. But yeah, it's one of those. I think like it's so well written, and then like it touched on that depression and like this guy just being awful. But then it's also like fucking hilarious, like Mr. Peanut Butter and what's his face?
Yeah,
the roommate.
Todd. Yeah, and the Princess Caroline stuff with all that.
Like she's at the bit where she's dating Vincent, who's the 3 kids in a jacket.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's so many like almost like one-off or sometimes returning, but like one-liner jokes about a celebrity where they've either changed them into an animal and that's the joke, or I remember there's the stuff about Andrew Garfield. There's like a whole thing in one episode where he hates Monday and loves lasagna, and it's like he's just Garfield. It's just it's very, very clever. You can tell that somebody, a team of writers, I'm sure, have put like a lot of thought into this. And
it's really, really good, and some bits are just proper funny. It's like
it's very kind of pun heavy in a lot of ways.
It's happened where Bojack's stolen the D from the Hollywood side, and then for the rest of the series just Hollywood. Because that's how things work. But it's very good. And obviously the other thing I've been watching, which we have discussed up to this point, we're now on episode 5 of Ahsoka.
Super Soccer.
Yeah, so what did you think of episode 5?
Yeah, it was good. I've got to say, before we get into it, I think listening back to our previous episode, I pretty much nailed this in one of my predictions, exactly what happened.
I haven't got to this point in the previous episode.
I know, yeah, we only just released it like yesterday. Yeah, but I managed to listen through it. I had a couple of train journeys yesterday, but the crux of this is the world between worlds and
going through
different points in history.
Yeah,
it was good. There's a lot of Anakin in this, which you kind of expect from the end of the last episode.
Yeah,
I when I was watching it with Amy, I was kind of like, I feel like Star Wars fans, because it's such a broad term, like whatever, but like they're either going to be loving or hating this. I feel like a lot of it is, because this is a Dave Filoni episode, right? It is revisiting like at least two quite key moments from Ahsoka's kind of past, and I feel like people will either love or hate that, and I don't really know.
I kind of stopped reading forums on Star Wars ever since The Last Jedi. I just can't be asked with Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars, but some Star Wars fans just hate Star Wars.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've seen people say recently, like, if you only liked like the original trilogy, you're not I mean, you can't say you're not a Star Wars fan, but you're a fan of those films. Like, it's more than that now, especially with Dave Filoni doing like fucking hundreds of hours of stuff. Like, that is almost more what Star Wars is as a whole now than anything.
And like, you probably get hate for saying this, but when there's like 11 films and
you like
6 TV series, and you only like 3 of the films and hate the rest, you're a casual fan. Like,
or you could say I was gonna say purist, but it's not even purist at this point.
If you dislike most of the thing, but these same people will say they're like the biggest Star Wars fans, and it's like, no, you do like Star Wars, but like,
you liked it when it was for you.
When you like the original trilogy, and there's.
And I think as well, like this, like between this and Andor, funnily enough, both single names with A starting, they're both kind of two kind of ends of the spectrum of Star Wars. Like, this is the very kind of lore heavy Jedi mystical stuff. This episode specifically, and very Dave Filoni based as well. Even more George Lucasy as well in lots of ways. And then the other one is like the Rogue One, like war movie, espionage, kind of political side.
It's nice to get both.
Yeah, exactly. Within a year, pretty much. I think it was this time last year Andor was out. So within just over a year, we've got two very different things. And I've liked both of them. I think most people who just like sci-fi and Star Wars probably have liked both of them to different degrees.
I didn't think like I like Star Wars, so I kind of probably have a lower standard of what's good in Star Wars than most things. But like these are good TV shows anyway. But this episode, I thought it was going to be less of a filler episode than it was in a lot of ways. Like,
we spoke about the possibility they'd either do the Ezra stuff or the Ahsoka stuff. It makes sense for them to have done this.
In a lot of ways, it kind of leaves it not far from where it started.
Yeah, not at all. Really,
like all the stuff with Hera was quite nice, and seeing Jason use like the Force in his own way
makes sense.
Was fun, but the plot didn't really progress.
When he was like hearing the sounds, which kind of doesn't really make sense, but I guess he's telepathically hearing it from her or whatever. I said to Amy, his dad was a Jedi, and then like a few minutes later, it's like, his dad was a Jedi. Like, okay, you've got to say
Freddie Prinze Jr., the Jedi.
I saw a screenshot when they're in the spaceship at some point. There is a little photo of him on the side, but you can't see whether it's Freddie Prinze Jr. It's just a very slight. You can recognize him, kind of thing.
Probably intentional.
Maybe, like you said, he might turn up in a later thing.
Yeah, but I thought all the Ahsoka and Anakin stuff was great.
Good,
going back to like her as a kid, like obviously we haven't seen a live action version of that,
because they said that was like her first mission, the start, really. So that is literally going back to the start of their whole thing. And
she's very young, and like and it's the first time we've seen the Clone Wars in live action since Revenge of the Sith.
And I saw that it's the only time that they've been actual people in the suits, because they used CGI clone troopers for everything else in the past. So that's quite interesting.
But that was fun. And like the talk about like the legacy and how she's been trained to be a soldier rather than Jedi.
It's mad that like the troops are taking orders from her and she's like 9 or whatever.
Yeah, then like a lot of that comes in play later on. It's part of the reason she'd leave the Jedi and stuff, and it's like, where do the Jedi stand in this world as peacemakers?
Yeah, but they've been thrust into this commander role. And
then kind of the bit where kind of Anakin turns bad as well.
The first bit when he walks off and you see just the blue lightsaber in the fog, and then like there's the flash and he's Vader for a second. You're like, oh, cool, yeah. I did think they were going to go full her fighting Vader, but I like the way they did it because he has a slight voice like tinge and his eyes,
and we see a flash of the suit
him at that point.
It really was kind of reminiscent to me of Dagobah in Empire Strikes Back, where Luke goes into the cave and fights this vision of Vader, which
turns out to be
which it's like Ahsoka seeing her mentor and one of the close people turn to this bad person, and they kind of talk about who she's meant to be and all that. I was like, it's a similar sort of thing from that.
Definitely,
I was like, this is great. And then
it was cool, There's a Mandalore bit. Was that Siege of Mandalore?
Siege of Mandalore, yeah, because obviously that would be
with the spiky heads.
So we essentially see like the start and the end of the Clone Wars TV show,
right? Okay,
Siege of Mandalore's right at the end of that. And that was again cool to see. It was cool that Anakin was like, I don't recognize this battle.
He was like, it seems awful. She's like, it was shit.
It was fucking brutal. You weren't here. You were busy destroying the Republic at this point.
Yeah.
So I think that's literally like almost concurrent with Revenge of the Sith.
I think I saw somewhere, that they were doing they were in Coruscant or something at this point. I think, maybe 66 was just starting or something like that. Yeah.
But it was a fun episode, and like it
felt very like we spoke about in the first episode of Ahsoka. It was like for the Rebels fans in a lot of ways, and this was like for the Filoni fans in lots of ways. But I felt like they explained it enough. Like we said about the Turtles earlier, like it explained it enough that I knew what was going on.
Yeah, and I think
you could tell like she's young and like he's young. He had the short hair for the first bit, and
that's the thing. I think like the first episode, I think it's quite a good balance of, if you know what it's referencing, it's cool.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it's referencing, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you still get like, oh, this is young Ahsoka with Anakin discussing her place, and then this is Ahsoka after Anakin's left, still fighting, still being a soldier, and like her growth. You don't need to know about the Clone Wars and the Mandalore to get that. So it's like, it's well written and well done.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and then we get the kind of the plot moving forward slightly at the end with the space whale things, and Ahsoka's like, "Hey,
we're going to
go with you or whatever."
Ezra.
And it was it was fun.
One concern I have got now that we've only got 3 episodes left, there's not much time for Ezra and Thrawn to appear.
Do you think they've like fully planned Ahsoka season 2? Or
I hope so.
Or maybe a new title that will involve
Ezra,
because the thing that's a bit like
Rebels season 5.
Well, the thing that's a bit like annoying in a way. I know before Ahsoka started, I think when Mandalorian was wrapping up the season 3, there was an interview with Dave Filoni where he was like, there is room for some big event in this period that we just haven't heard of yet. Yeah. And it's like, in some ways, it's like, why wouldn't they have mentioned it in the sequel trilogy? But if it was 30 years ago and it was not as big as Darth Vader and the Emperor, if it was like a small scale, mini revival before the First Order,
and it may be seen by the sequel trilogy, whatever this event may just be seen as the after effects of the Empire, rather than
it's
like
still 5 years after or whatever.
Yeah, and if it's Thrawn trying to re-kick it's just the little after effects rather than a new big enemy who then
because I could really see because the same way they've done with Marvel stuff where they don't announce the name of something or something until like the previous ones come out and all that. It could be that they're like maybe not Rebels but some other name that will involve everyone that's in the live action series. Like the thing, because didn't they say there was going to be a movie that was set in that period, directed by Dave Filoni?
Yeah, although I don't think that was like it's set in stone yet. But
I mean, maybe that they're building towards that.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
If Filoni was making a film, it'd be this, wouldn't it?
I think it will end with, and that would also explain why like Mary Elizabeth Winstead and stuff have got on board with it.
Yeah,
maybe even Rosario Dawson. I mean, she does a lot of TV, like especially when Disney are involved in things. But it might be that like we're going to build to either a second series, you've signed up for 2,
or like an Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if, because realistically, it'll be because it'll be a bit like with Graham, whatever it was called, not Grand Moff Tarkin, Giancarlo Esposito, where he kind of came back at the end, and then he was just gone straight away, and it ended up being a bit disappointing.
Yeah, what was his name? Moff Gideon,
yeah. I can't imagine them bringing Thrawn back and then killing him off straight away.
That's what I was going to say. My one concern with 3 episodes left, I'll be really, really disappointed, and I'm sure a lot of people will, if Thrawn appears and is defeated in these next 3 episodes, because Thrawn's like a big deal who's never been seen live action. He's in Rebels like last season, but...
And he's from the original novels.
I think he's he was one of the few extended universe characters that got pulled through, and they wrote some canon novels.
That's it.
I mean, he's got a trilogy. I think I own one of them. I haven't read them. But there's some of the most well regarded Star Wars books.
I think whether it's a film, I don't see it being Ahsoka season 2, because I feel like, especially with this episode we just had and 3 more to go, I feel like the focus being on her it will kind of worn itself out by that point. She can be in it as a character, but I feel like it's got to be a bit more of an ensemble thing.
Yeah, although
maybe not.
It could work. So I kind
just
of
feel
hope
like it not, because at that point, if then Ezra's in it as well, that's another main character, and calling it Ahsoka just feels a little bit.
Or maybe
tired.
It'll be Ahsoka training Ezra.
And
still call it so. But
true.
I kind of hope that this season effectively ends with Thrawn coming to power.
That's what I'm imagining.
And then season 2 is a whole season of fighting against Thrawn.
And I'm thinking that, but maybe with a different title, and bring in Mando.
The thing
as well.
They bigged up Thrawn so much for somebody who's not Force sensitive, and is just essentially a general,
just a guy. Basically.
The fact they're saying both sides are saying this guy could bring back the Empire single-handedly. They're massively bigging him up, so it's got to be an ongoing fight to defeat him, surely.
Yeah. Or maybe a series and topping that off with a film, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
a series.
You get Mando, Boba Fett, and Andor all to come together to.
I mean, not Andor.
No, but
but anyone who's left from Andor, just age him up by a little bit.
Yeah, maybe Andor on that beach. There's suddenly a portal open.
Yeah, the world between worlds.
Because we never actually see their bodies.
No, we don't. But that's probably because the nuclear blast took them out.
Their bodies didn't exist. But
it was okay. For me, I liked it, the episode, but I think the last episode was probably I enjoyed more.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think
it was good.
The Anakin stuff was really good.
Yeah, I think we spoke just before recording that the whether they actually did any de-age on him is a little bit confusing, because it's you can he looks good. I don't know how old he is, but when he's smiling, you can see a little bit of a wrinkle around his mouth and stuff. You feel like that's the kind of thing they would. Maybe they tried it and it looked fake, so they were just
I feel like part of me is just
I mean, I don't really care.
Exactly. They think, people won't care. They'll just be excited about Hayden Christensen.
They always fucking ruin it by going the first thing she says is you look exactly the same, and she's oh, you look old. It's you don't fucking look the same. No. You've got the same outfit and the same hair. That's it.
Yeah. I did when they first went to the Clone Wars and he's got his shorter haircut, and it's he is Anakin, and he is 18-year-old Anakin there, clearly.
It's a bit confusing thinking about it. When she first falls into the younger body, she's where am I kind of thing. And then the next scene, she seems to be in the mind of herself as a child. And then the next scene, she's kind of back knowing what's going on. It's a bit...
I think it's a mix in between the two.
Maybe she's coming back and forth. Maybe she's watching it But
I think it was cool.
I mean, it definitely kept me interested in what's going on.
One thing that was always great about the Clone Wars series is that it filled in that 3-year gap with all the battles and all the actual Clone Wars stuff.
Which is bizarre that they skipped that in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, which obviously Attack of the Clones kicks off the Clone Wars. In Revenge of the Sith, you see bits, like the big battle at the start, but you don't see a lot of that ground fighting.
No,
we got that from the TV series, so it was quite cool to see a live action battle.
Even if it was in the dreamlike fog of the other world.
It kind of makes me want to get a full like live action Clone Wars series, like just a proper like dirty war series.
I mean, you could do one without any of the main people in it,
and
you?
Just you could do like maybe like a lesser known Jedi, but mostly focus on like the clones.
I wouldn't be surprised, if like once they've moved on from this, once Dave Filoni's had his fill of that, or maybe he could do it.
I'm sure.
I think he's got enough characters under his belt at this point.
I'm sure. What's his face, who voices all the clones, would fucking love that idea. Bringing all that money of just playing 1,000 people.
They used his voice for was that Rex?
Commander Rex. Yeah,
I thought it was funny when there's the one like dying clone. They've got his face covered because obviously they didn't have what's his name involved with this one.
What's his fucking name? He's gonna.
Oh no, but the guy who did him for the actual Clone Wars was a different guy, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure they had a different guy for the series.
I'm not sure it. 'Cause it's the guy that plays Jango Fett. Tamora Morrison.
But I've got a feeling he didn't voice him in any of the series. I think it's a guy doing an impression.
Joe, I think you might be right.
It's like a quite prolific voice actor doing it, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Give me a second.
But I'm pretty sure it was that guy for this anyway. Dave Filoni was like, "We're gonna get you to do a voice very quickly."
Cast and characters. So main one, D. Bradley Baker. Of course. Who has loads of stuff. He's in. What's the main thing else I know? Maybe it's just this I'm thinking of. D. Bradley Baker. I think I saw he might be in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but in a later episode. Which wraps it up nicely, I feel.
Yes.
But unless you've got anything else on Ahsoka.
No. Do you want to do quick predictions at the end? I haven't thought about it at all.
Next episode, will they meet Ezra?
I think what you said before was kind of interesting last week, as it were, that maybe we'd see a bit of it from Ezra's eyes before they're turning up. But then again, we can't really have another episode filling in blanks. Maybe later we'll see what Ezra's been up to, but I feel like this one will be from Sabine's eyes. They're going through, and then we'll see what's happening straight away. Maybe they'll long it out. You don't see Ezra till the end of it, and he's got a beard or whatever, and he's like, I've been having a shit time here. And then the next episode, it's like, this is the 5 years or whatever he was.
Do you know what? It's quite exciting. So like, we have no idea what's going to be on the other side of this.
Well, it's the fact that it is another galaxy. They could do like something really weird with it. Imagine if it somehow ties into like some other property. It's like,
they turn up and just like fucking like Korea there.
It's just like a normal world, like modern day Earth. Thrawn's just taken over.
It would be modern day.
Well,
it'd be a long time ago.
Oh, that was the thing at the end. They say something. The kid Jason is like, the whales took him to a galaxy far away. And I was like,
this kid loves forcing the lines, because last week he was like, I've got a bad feeling. Is
he half Twi'lek then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Green hair? Is that?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Half Twi'lek, half Jedi.
Maybe bottom half's Twi'lek.
Maybe.
Don't want to know about that kid's dick, to be honest.
Probably for the best. And on that note, I think we'll call an end to the episode. So if you enjoyed this episode, hopefully you did, you can give us 5 stars on whatever you listen to this on, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, I don't know, your turtle radio, turtle cheese phone. Be much appreciated. Or you can contact us directly, can't you, Sam?
Yes, you can. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to theprojectpod@gmail.com. So if you want to theorize about what a half Twi'lek child's genitals might look like, please don't send them to us, but you can maybe send it to yourself and have a little conversation with yourself. If you've got any theories about the 6th episode of Ahsoka, or maybe even any of the ones we talked about already, please let us know. If you want to find our social medias, the link tree is in the episode description, so you can find out when new episodes are dropped and watch clips on TikTok.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we'll say thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Cowabunga, dudes.
Bye, baby.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.